37 on so far too.
Hello, all, and welcome to the Sky Fantasy Friday stream by Fantasy Football Hub as we look ahead to Game Week 12 with the first game of the weekend starting in just a few hours' time. My name is Andrew, and I am joined, as usual, by two of the best Sky managers in the game. Firstly, Paul McAnulty. Paul, how was your weekend last weekend? How did you do on Monday night? Were you a PVA, Zaha owner, or someone else?
Yeah, I had Zaha going into it, and I made the transfer to PVA.
Oh.
I wish I hadn't bothered. Now, even with the extra game tonight,
You've got to have hope for this evening. Really hopeful of a 10-pointer from PVA, and it'll all be worth it because then you get your 24 points off your one transfer. It'll be worth it. Even though obviously you had Zaha, so that was a bit of a kick in the balls if you wanted, because you'd have been laughing there. We also have the reigning Sky champion, Liam Dorian, on with us. How's it going, Liam?
Yeah, I'm good. Hoping that PVA can give me some goals today. So
we're all on PVA. We're all on PVA.
Crossed.
So when he scores, then we will all be celebrating, jumping up and down, and thinking. I think it's all up here. Evening, all in the chat. Let me just rewind up the chat. See who we've got on this evening. Good evening, L England, Salve, Michael N, Frank FF Stuff. He says, "Evening. I almost feel like I'm cheating on Dan by tuning into the Friday podcast." Absolutely, but we have a very worthy mistress in Liam, so don't worry about that. Geo Boys, Glenn Murray, Dan's wife doesn't let him out on a Friday. How do you know that, Glenn? You're absolutely right there. Ian Parrin, welcome, Ian. Just so everyone knows, Ian is going to be on with us on Sunday evening on the normal podcast to have a look through all the fixtures for December. You're in for a treat. You won't want to miss that one. Michael N, Safe, Chris D, Andrew Patterson, Pete S, Off Spinner. We got loads on this evening. Welcome everyone. I can't go through them all, otherwise we'll run out of time. But as we are live, as we are live, please feel free to join in at any time. Ask some questions. We will answer throughout. For any new watchers and listeners, welcome. If you haven't subscribed yet, please press the subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. Set the alerts so you don't miss our live podcast streams, which are 9 p.m. every Sunday evening right here on this channel. Also, could everyone please press like? That would be absolutely wonderful. So we have some fixtures. Paul, what are your initial thoughts on the fixtures?
They look relatively easy to navigate. I'll call it just the single match days as opposed to running all the way through. So Friday the 4th of December is Villa versus Newcastle, and then the Monday of the same weekend, Brighton, Southampton. The following Friday, so Friday the 11th, is Leeds, West Ham. And that's it for the single match days. There's a couple of doubles, but it's all highly owned players that are involved in the double games. So you've got Wolves, Chelsea, Man City, West Brom, it's a double. Villa, Burnley, Sheffield United, Man United. Burnley, Wolves, Chelsea, West Ham, Monday the 21st of December. That might be one that people want to make some transfers on if they've not got Patricio or Zuma or Antonio, I guess. But it seems relatively straightforward to navigate.
So on the single days you mentioned there, so obviously you've got Villa, I think Grealish is something like, is he 74% owned in the top 1,000 or something like that, and you've got Konza and Martinez, and others as well. The hardish one there looks to be Brighton, Southampton. I know a lot of people, including you two, I think, have both got Ben White, haven't you, for Brighton. Yeah. Could potentially be an opportunity there for others to jump back maybe onto Adams, Ings, or Ward-Prowse, whoever else. Liam, what are your thoughts on the transfers and how they've fallen? The fixtures, not the transfers. Sorry.
Yeah, the fixtures are good. We think we've got no Crystal Palace v West Brom, so they're all decent fixtures. Luckily, I'm covered with the Brighton Southampton game, so it's funny. That's on a Monday night, and I think the stat that Brighton have never kept a clean sheet on a Monday night. But I'm hoping that next Monday night it'll all change and Ben White to get a clean sheet. But yeah, look at the fixtures; they're good. So I did a bit of planning yesterday. I used Ian Parrin's transfer sheet, so I have my transfers all planned out and they all worked well. So hopefully no one gets injured or no one gets COVID, and that should be good.
Yeah, obviously, on we'll go into a lot more depth in terms of our planning on Sunday. But Romeo, just I'm thinking here, just off the top of my head more than anything, could also be a really good shout to cover that captaincy, but also to release funds. I think actually, for if you look at the Chelsea fixtures, for example, later on they turn really nice. But we're going to want Salah back potentially, so maybe some kind of moves there. But
it's nice for a restructure, like the fact that it's on a Monday as well.
Exactly.
Like you can make one move, hold money in reserve, and then make the upgrade that you want to in the following week or the week after.
Yes, agree with that. Good evening, Dan Cox. He says Newcastle 1-0 win Wilson. That would be a double kick in the balls. No, myself and Dan took Wilson out. We wouldn't get the PVA clean sheet. John Maloney, Luke Steedman, and Perry Coleman, Tom Glimpson, Ryan Welsh, evening all. Quick question off Ryan. If you have a Palace player, you could hold them till after West Brom, then shift to Southampton on the Monday. So that's a really good point there. So our Van Aanholt to Romeo potentially, or to Ward-Prowse potentially, or something like that could be a good shout there. So we had a lot of questions on Twitter this afternoon. Thank you so much, all. Paul, have you got a couple of questions off Twitter that you can share with us?
Yeah, how many transfers are the two of you thinking of using between now and New Year? So now we've got the December fixtures. I guess what's your plan and where's your fallback on that? So is it +2 transfers for potential injuries or not?
Good question. So I've skimmed the fixtures. I haven't had a massive in-depth look yet. I haven't made my plan yet. I'll do that in preparation for Sunday. But I suppose just looking at them very, very, I just had a really brief scan through earlier. I think I need someone for Brighton, Southampton, and I did see a bit of an obvious transfer maybe on the 21st, I think it was, for a Chelsea player, I think. So they're the two I think I need to kind of make, just in terms of, to be able to have a captaincy every day. But I also think, I don't want to. I'm a bit of an aggressive player. I like to attack the fixtures when I think it's it's kind of worthwhile as well. So there's no way I'm going into New Year only using another 2, right? And with 29 left. So I think I'm probably going to use 3 or 4. I would get 2 for those captaincies there, 1 or 2 to try and attack the fixtures a little bit, and then maybe 1 or 2 for kind of emergencies when someone gets injured or dropped over Christmas, like they are go into. But if I do that, personally, it means now I'm on 31. I'll be down to around 25, which according to Liam is bang on kind of where we want to be. So I think that's my very, very, very rough plan. But obviously, I'll have an in-depth look, and we will go into into a lot of details on Sunday. Liam, what about you?
Yeah, so my thoughts are trying at 25. I was doing my plan yesterday, so I have the transfers all lined out. I think it'll leave me Christmas Day with 28 left. So that leaves me with 3 left. So any injuries, COVID, right? Anything I see in a good opportunity, I will use. But I think, I'll stick to my 25 target. I would say if you have 35 of transfers left, I wouldn't hoard your transfers. So I would use a few. So I think if you get Christmas Day with 35 transfers, well, you're probably not going to get the best out of them in the second part of the year. You got to kind of use them gradually. So you can't just go next year and you use 5 in one game week. It's not good. So you should try and, if you're at 35, 36, start using your few transfers now. Try and look for them 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, and you start climbing that table.
Good advice there, Liam. How about you, Paul? What's your high level plan?
Pretty similar. I guess all 3 of us are kind of between 30 and 35 transfers remaining. So if you used 5 in the month of December to get to the end of the month, I think that's a good number to have used in that period of time. There is, so what the kind of feedback or the sense that I got from some comments I'd seen on Twitter and group chats is that it's pretty hard to get 2-for-1s on the premiums, which looking at fixtures I agree with on a lot of terms. So with Liverpool and Man City playing the same day, it's really hard. And Spurs, I think, playing the same day as the two of them quite a lot as well. So it's hard to get the Kane to Salah or to De Bruyne kind of moves out of this. And I know a lot of people are waiting on the Robertson to Diaz when was the perfect opportunity to do that as well. So there is a lot of those missing, but the plans that I've put in place all benefit from an extra fixture across there. So I got Calvert-Lewin in last week, but with Digne now out for 2 to 3 months, I'm thinking of going 3 premiums up top so that I don't need to sit and rotate the strikers.
His fixtures shift as well, I think, as well,
Yeah.
don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and I won't be using them for captaincy in any days coming up now as well. So planning on getting Vardy in on Monday for PVA, and I think I can get Salah back in with a slight restructure, but gaining fixtures every time that I make the small moves. So yeah, there is definitely opportunities there. Again, using Ian Parram's transfer planner, highly recommend that if you're trying to play out your transfers and see what is possible. Albeit everything's flexible as well. All my players are fit and playing just now. So.
Exactly.
It was a good move. I seen you can do would you say for a good Chelsea player on the 20th of December? If you take out a Chelsea player, not a Spurs player, for a Chelsea player, you get a 3-for-1. And then if you bring back in Kane, they play Fulham at home on that Thursday. So that's a great opportunity to make a transfer.
Yeah, I would say this year may be slightly different from other years in terms of that all the players, especially the players who play in Europe, right, are going to be absolutely shattered over Christmas. And I just think we need to be a little bit careful with saying 3-for-1s over that period, because we're talking about 3 games in 6 days or 7 days or something like that. So I think if we are kind of targeting the big teams over that time, I think you need to think on your feet as well. But just an example, if you take out Kane for Werner there, I personally can't see Werner playing 3 games in 7 days, just as an example. So I do think we need to think about that. And they've also got more games on New Year's Day as well, right? So there's realistically it's 4 games in 10 days. So, if you are targeting those sort of Chelsea games, I just have a bit of I just be on guard there and not guarantee that it will definitely be your plan, because I don't think it'll personally happen like that. Dan in the chat says, I think I'm going to make 8 to 10 transfers in December, going for it. And Glenn Murray, who earlier admitted in the chat, and he put on Twitter that he's wrecked. He says at Dan Cox, mind games. Alan Burberry is going to have 27 left, and Steve Manning, good shout from Liam about transfer. I've used 3, sitting at 5k. Don't need to get using them. Yeah, this is it. You don't want to be sat at 5 or 10k in February or March with 25 transfers left, because then everyone will have the key players already in place. It'd be hard to make up. It's that balance is it's the whole essence of the game, isn't it? It's that balance of using them while kind of optimizing them at the same time. So yeah, really good point there, Liam.
There was a few questions around, should I swap this player for this player? And I always find it difficult to assess that or answer it without seeing the person's team.
Yeah.
So I think someone in the chat on Sunday night had made a remark about not doing the Calvert-Lewin move because we had advised against using transfers. But for me, it's always about what your team needs and not what is the best single move to make, and it's all what your team does. Because the Calvert-Lewin move wasn't right for you, Fergie, for your team in the way that you were setting up and how you wanted to play it forward. But I had the opportunity to do it because it would only be one move for me, where it would have been slightly different for you. So if anyone is asking those questions, if you want to give like some, I guess, surrounding information about your team, like where you've perhaps got captains covered and where you've not, then I think we'd probably be better equipped to answer some of the more direct questions like that.
Yeah, I'd also say, even though that the DCL Lewis, what am I talking? The DCL captainers are in front on that particular move. I've got Vardy now for Monday, right? So it was always part of the bigger move. And we've also got Vardy for another captaincy or two. Vardy's fixtures coming up are absolutely mint for a little while. So with these moves, it's very rare you make a captaincy move with one game in mind, right? So I would just say, even though the Calvert-Lewin captainers are in front of this moment in time, and they've had an awesome start, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm very jealous. I wish I'd gone for him. I didn't, but there was a strategy rather than a tactic in there. What other questions have we had in, Paul?
I if you had to pick a Chelsea asset, I think someone was going to make a move off Zaha, and they were going to move to either Zuma or Reece James. Which one of those two would you go for if that was a straight flip between the two?
What's think about that, Liam? Zuma or Reece James?
I would go Zuma, because Zuma he seems to be nailed on. If you look at stats, he's getting passing bonus regularly. I think against the big teams, he's a chance of hitting passing bonus. Whereas Reece James, he's probably not going to hit passing bonus against the big teams. Reece James, sometimes he might get rested with Azpilicueta about, so I think he'd be safe going Zuma.
The only thing I'd say with Chelsea, I know I mentioned this on Sunday and I've got a bet on with Dan, but just beware their fixtures, right? They've just come out with a really nice fixture run. They've got lots of clean sheets, they've got loads of points. The next 2 games, they've got Spurs, who score a lot of goals. They've got Leeds, who score a lot of goals. They've got Everton, who've got, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison. They've then got Wolves, okay, there's a cleanie there potentially. They've then got West Ham, who've been scoring goals. So I'd just be a bit careful on your expectations on Chelsea defence at this time. They may get passing bonus and stuff, right? I personally can't see them getting passing bonus in the next 2 against Spurs and Leeds, because they tend to hold the ball well, but that's just my opinion. Obviously, previous points are not necessarily an indicator of future ones there. What else have we had, Paul?
Cancelo, what's both of your thoughts on Cancelo? Was it 8.2, I think? And I assume this is going with a double up with Diaz, because I know that Liam's first response to that would be I'd have Diaz first.
Cancelo's been playing good, but I think with Mendy being back now, it'd be a bit of rotation, especially now it comes to Christmas, a lot of games. I actually had my plans to make it Walker in for Man City, to double up Man City. So I went for Walker for Cancelo, because Walker's guaranteed to play. So that's, I don't worry about that with Cancelo. It's always kind of back in mind, will he start? He might not start. Mendy's back, so I wouldn't go Cancelo. I'll get someone who's nailed first. So you think if you're going to get Cancelo at 8.2, well, you can almost get Zuma at 7.8 or Gabriel for 8, and they're guaranteed, so you don't have to worry about are they going to play or not going to play. So,
Fergie?
Yeah, I think the advantage that he's got, is that he can also play right back as well, so he can give Walker a rest like he did on Wednesday in midweek. So Mendy is back. He was on the bench on Wednesdays, and Cheng was always on the bench on Wednesdays. So I do think there is a risk there. But I think the thing with Cancelo that he holds above Mendy, Zinchenko and Walker is he can play on both sides. So I think he'll probably play 3 in 4 or 4 in 5. It's just you will have that benching, right? Whereas with Diaz, Liam's boy, he will very, very likely, unless he's injured, he may have one rest over Christmas, right?
Yeah.
But with the fixtures they've got, he's going to nail the passing bonus. He's a massive attacking threat, and he's really good value. So I'd be wary, and if you haven't got Diaz, I'd just go Diaz. Doesn't it?
Would you captain Diaz tomorrow? Would you, if you had him? If you haven't, don't you? Would you captain him?
I'm an aggressive player, so I'm going for De Bruyne, because I'm always on the lookout for the 48 points sort of captain. But I do think that Diaz will very, very likely be a 20-point captain tomorrow. What do you think, Paul?
I was going to captain Calvert-Lewin until Digne's injured. Now, I'm not saying that Digne is the only conveyor belt for Calvert-Lewin points. I know that Richarlison's back as well. But now with that and with I'm conscious, because I made the DCL move last week and I gained quite a bit on the people that didn't have him on Sunday, that why risk not going with him? Why risk going with him again tomorrow when I could go back to the safe option, which I think is De Bruyne. But Diaz is a great shout. I just think that I said that I was going to captain De Bruyne on Sunday night's pod now, and if I then go back on what I said, I'd have more regret than I would have upside of being a maverick by changing my mind at the last minute.
Yeah, no.
I like the shout. Definitely like the shout. I remember Otamendi. I captained him quite a few times a couple of seasons ago. Actually, the weekend I brought him in, they were playing Burnley at home. They beat them 3-0, and Otamendi scored. They picked up an 18-pointer, I think. You did.
I did the 1-3-0 in that game. I remember.
Aguero scored a penalty. And a lot of people were on Aguero captain, but I captained Otamendi, and think it was an 18-pointer, I think. Yeah. Passes, clean sheet passes and goal. Yeah. Right.
So just a few comments in the chat. So Ian Parrish has said the EFL Cup is just before the Christmas period. FA Cup is straight after. There's only 3 games in the festive period: the 26th, 27th, then the 20th, 30th, and then the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. There are games though, aren't they, on the 20th and 21st? So there's still that 4 games in 10 or 11 days. So I would include the games in 20 or 21st in that period as well, because that's the time we're thinking of bringing in the players. But Ian's point is a good one there. It all depends how they fall, obviously, in terms of timings, whether you can see the lineups, all this sort of thing as well. Question from John Maloney: Robertson, DCL, or Diaz for captain tomorrow? Out of those 3, I would say Diaz. Liam, which one would you go for?
Yeah, I'll go Diaz.
Paul?
Yeah, what happens if it's Diaz's turn for a rest?
That would be a bit of a nightmare, wouldn't it?
Of those 3, I like Diaz. I like Diaz as captain, but I wouldn't steer away from DCL. I don't.
No, I think it's a great shot. I'm captaining him in FPL, right? So I'm captaining De Bruyne in Sky because he's got more kind of avenues of points on Sky Avenue than he has on FPL. But I'm captaining DCL in.
I don't like the fact that you've started doing all right in FPL recently, because it means that Dan and I's.
Look out, Betty.
There's a couple of people in the chat that are asking about. So I don't have Salah, and I know that you don't, Fergie. I'm not too sure if you do or don't, Liam. And I don't if you want to answer this or not, based on us not knowing your team. But when's the plan to get him back if you don't have him?
I'm personally not in any massive rush at the moment. Obviously that Fulham game stands out, but he may he'll probably play tomorrow against Brighton, I guess. But Brighton's defensive stats are pretty good. They're then home to Wolves, which I don't think is a very nice fixture for him either. The Fulham game obviously stands out, right? So that's the one I kind of look.
And you can't move Kane on. You can't even move Kane onto him at any point for the extra game, can you? There's no route to move Kane to Salah for the extra game. Because I had a look at Kane's fixtures over the festive period, and I think I'd captain him maximum 1 time over that period. If everybody stays fit, my team looks the way I'm planning it looking. And perhaps on Sunday the 20th v Leicester, I'd captain him. But apart from that, I wasn't captaining him any games. So if there had been an opportunity to move Kane on to Salah at some point, I might have taken that route, but there's not. No. for the extra game.
I even think in the upcoming games, I just had a brief look, but it didn't stand out to me that you would need Salah for a capture in any of those days, because I think there are really good alternative options on the days he plays as well. I haven't got them in front of me, but I think it's either like a KDB or a Kane or something like that, or maybe a Bruno, which kind of falls on the same day potentially as well.
Wednesday the 16th, I think. I'm not saying there's not other options, because you've got Arsenal at home at Southampton. If you've got Gabriel, you think maybe a 10-pointer there. Leicester at home at Everton, so Vardy again, maybe.
Vardy be a nice one there, because Everton's defence are awful, aren't they? So,
yeah.
Well,
but they play Spurs that day, and it's not an easy fixture as well, right?
It's not, and Spurs have tightened up as well, right? So Mourinho's got this new, kind of win at all cost mentality now. We've just had a couple more questions about De Bruyne in the chat. John Malone.
I have a plan too for Salah to get him in my team. I don't have Salah, to be honest, but I seen that yesterday plan. I have a good opportunity to get him in. So on the 5th of December, Man U play that day. So I'm going to transfer out Bruno for Salah. I get a 3-for-1. Yeah. So transfer out Bruno. I get a 3-for-1. Bruno's match in that 3-for-1 is at home to Man City.
Yeah.
Decent.
So, and then after he plays 3 games, I'll transfer back in. So I think he plays Leicester, Wolves, and Sheffield United. So that's my plan. So I'm going to, on the 5th of December, take out Bruno. And then Sunday, Liverpool play, get a 3-for-1. I think that's a great shout, especially when Bruno at home to Man United. Man United at home. Yeah. I know Bruno at home's they're pretty bad. So, that's my plan.
That's a good shout.
What date was that? Sorry, Liam.
On the 5th of December, Man U play West Ham. You take them out and then bring Liverpool. You get 3 for 1.
Have a look at
You
that.
just taking a screen. You're just taking a screenshot.
I've just
Fergie,
written.
have you?
Got my pen, mate. I've written my notes all ready for Sunday. So, just a bit more we had on De Bruyne in the chat. So, John Maloney. I don't think KDB has a great record versus Burnley. And Josh says he's surely due a good run. Obviously he hasn't been playing well, right? But remember what he did against Wolves was it the first Monday of the season or second Monday of the season when he had that 44 pointer? He is sky gold. He's probably he and Bruno are the best players probably ever suited to this sky scoring matrix, right? And he can be absolutely devastating. So he's just played Spurs. He's just had a rest in midweek as well, which why I Paul just mentioned there kind of the Diaz maybe due a rest. I don't think he will have a rest, right? But he's played every single game recently without a rest. So and KDB has had him. So that's a bit of thinking there as well. And Ryan Welsh just say he's just come off back-to-back games against Liverpool and Spurs. Had he scored the pen against Liverpool, people wouldn't be mentioning form with such fine margins. Yeah, I mentioned this on Wednesday, right, in the FPL pod as well. Fantasy football is about points and nothing else, and it doesn't matter how you get them, right? If you just score that pen, we wouldn't be saying anything. So I completely agree with that. What else we got there, Paul?
This was a question I had. So 2 people asked questions on, I think one was on Twitter and one was in a group chat about like what moves they could make, and they felt that they were kind of restricted in the moves that they could make. So they were trying to take out Zaha and they had a maximum ceiling points. It had to be a midfielder, and it felt that there was nobody really in that range. But both times I've seen the teams, they had Patricio in goals. So I'm going to ask a counter question to that. Based on Wolves' upcoming fixtures and how much Patricio locks in value at 6.9, is it worth a goalkeeper transfer to downgrade Patricio so that it opens up more money for potentially more like an additional big hitter in the team?
What do you think, Liam? You can go first on this one.
You could. What I think about Patricio is that he never gets saves bonus. So if you look at his stats, he got save bonus once the whole season. So it's pretty much that if Wolves concede, he's going to get 2. What you could do, flip side, is you could get Kilman. He started the past 6-7 games, so he looks pretty nailed on. So you could make one goalkeeper change to Martinez or even Melcy for Leeds. So you could downgrade him, and then you could downgrade your defenders to Kilman, so that covers Wolves. And then you can use that remaining funds then to upgrade your defender. So, like for instance, you could have Dallas, so you could upgrade him to Zuma, Gabriel. So you can upgrade your team, even in midfield. You could upgrade somebody too, or even your strikers. Like if you have DCL, that could be go up to Werner or Kane, or it'll help your team a lot, I think.
What's your thoughts, Fergie? I know that we talk about not doing goalkeeper transfers on a Sunday and a bit, and Patricio would have benefited the owners to date based on the captaincies that were required from Wolves, but now that they're no longer required, what's your thoughts around it?
So just looking at the fixtures for the next 8 games, Wolves are rock bottom in terms of fixtures, right? So they've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, and Chelsea as the next 4, which are not nice. They've then got Burnley, they then got Spurs, Man United, and Brighton, right? So 7 of those 8 teams all regularly score goals. I can't see a lot of points there, right? And that, and then we're talking about going in, into January and into overhaul time. So kind of half the games that are left now until the overhaul, are that period there. So I think it's probably a good shout. Now we know a bit more, we've got a lot more kind of information and data and stuff. I think that if you are scrabbling and there's that ideal player, I think Liam's point is really, really good about not getting the saves bonus. That's just something you kind of if someone concedes, you always want that kind of thing where they might get a bit of bonus, right? He never gets it. So I think in this instance, due to the multiple factors at play and the fact that he wants more cash, I personally think that it's good. If you look at Leeds fixtures, as an example. So the next two are Everton and Chelsea, which aren't nice, right? But after that, they've got West Ham, Newcastle, they got Burnley, West Brom, Meslier. You're saving, what's that, 0.6, 0.7, or even more there maybe.
No, 0.8.
Or 0.8. So there you go. That's a massive upgrade. And Leeds then have really nice fixtures, basically all the way through until the overhaul as well. So that's just an example. But yeah, I think
that wasn't the question by the people, but that's a question that I would perhaps ask myself if I was doing it. Like, there's an opportunity like this week as well. Patricio plays on Sunday, and then if you were to make the move to Martinez on the Monday, you gain the extra game there as well, and you're freeing up the Zaha month. Like, as we're looking for a Zaha upgrade, you freed up the money. I don't know if that took them to Vardy or elsewhere, or you could use that money the following week, I guess.
And Ian just put in the chat the exact point I was going to make just then. Maybe a Patricio sort of McCarthy for Monday Night Football at Brighton if not covered. So another thing is covering a rogue sort of captaincy as well. Getting rid of your problem. Tonight. Yeah, but I've seen Dubravka is back and he's soon. He's back in. Yeah, I think I read this morning that he's back in training. So yeah, really good point there, Ian. So yeah, hopefully that's answered that quite nicely actually. What else have we had? Paul?
What do we think about the Villa forwards? So I know someone's asked about Ollie Watkins. What's your thoughts there if you're getting an extra game and a budget option? Ollie Watkins?
I think it's good. I think I put in the group chats the fixtures up to Boxing Day.
Oh, maybe it was. In fact, it was you. It was you. Somebody was asking about it. It was you, wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry.
I think I put it in. If you want, you can take. So if you've a forward, you can take him out of midfielder this week for Watkins. I think the fixtures, they play West Brom, Sheffield United. They have really, really good fixtures up until Christmas Day. So if you are feeling like Fergie, like yours like a punt, you could go for it. But no, the fixtures are great, especially you get the extra game too, because they play on Monday night. So I think it's a 1-1. He's bound to score a few goals too. He's on penalties too, I think. So I think it's a good shout.
I think that's the first time in the history of fantasy football podcasting that someone has answered their own question that they put in the chat. That is history right there, absolutely brilliant.
It was more so I've got a list of Twitter questions on one side, and then I've got 4 points that I was going to ask you questions on, but I forgot that Liam wasn't coming up. Like, I didn't know at the time when I wrote this down that Liam's coming on the pod.
Yeah, class.
So yeah, I've got the fixtures here actually. So they play West Ham, then Newcastle, then Wolves. Then they got Burnley, West Brom, and Crystal Palace. So they're great 6 fixtures. You couldn't ask for much better than them.
I think they are. I still think Grealish is just a better option. He's got more. He's got more avenues to point. He sometimes gets bonus for tackles and stuff. And obviously, with the way we're talking about premium strikers, right? So we're talking about Kane, Salah, and everyone else we're talking about. You probably want those 3 spots. I think personally freed up. Vardy, Werner potentially. So I think Grealish. I mean, I can't see me taking out Grealish for the season at this rate, right? Because he has got those kind of multiple avenues. So I would go Grealish first, but obviously Watkins is a good pick if you don't fancy Grealish. I think is probably fair to say. We had a question from Elliot England. Is it too early to consider differentials? So on Saturday, most people will have KDB as captain, but I'm thinking Diaz. Paul, do you think it's too early to go different? And by that, he is intimating that he thinks KDB is probably the better option, but he's purposely going different with Diaz. That's the point I think he's asking.
I think you're going to get contrasting views from Liam and I. But Liam won it, so take his advice. So I purposely set out, like I've mentioned before on Sunday nights, I purposely set out for 3/4 of the season to have, in most cases or where possible, have the most captained player in my side. I've not used overly, I've not used in excess of the transfers that I want to use at this stage. So it's not like I've done that with that in mind. But I'm still trying to captain the player that I think is going to be the most captained player every day up until now. And therefore I'd be trying to get KDB in. And from a differential point of view, I've tried to make up the differentials with the small outer players in the squad. So I've got my spine of Bruno, De Bruyne, Grealish, whoever's got the best fixture run out of Salah, Kane, Calvert-Lewin, and I've got Diaz and Dallas, and then the kind of players outside of that is where I'm trying to make up the differentials and transfer count as well.
Okay.
So a little bit early for me from the differential from the main.
Bear in mind we're like not even 30% of the season yet as well. Liam, what do you think?
I'm thinking about the past 2 months for an answer. It's not too early because, like, you think last week I went on the PVA, so we're different to Zaha. I don't mind going on differential, but it's kind of hard to answer. You got to time right. I think last year on my differentials I did, they were timed well and it worked out well. I would go for it because if you think Diaz, he's going to get passing points, so he's going to get 10 points at least, I think. And you think Man U, Man City, the past season, they've only been getting 1 or 2 goals a game. So, KDB could easily blank because Burnley parked the bus too. But I don't think it would do it really because you think the past few games, Man City are like, I think 26-1 in the past 5 games. So risky, but I would maybe wait a wee bit longer. Maybe I think if you come to the next part of the year, second half of the season, I think that's when the better idea because you've more stats on players, and then you can make a better educated guess on when to take a gamble and when not to. I would just wait.
I think as well, though, the difference with your Van Aanholt shout Liam over Zaha, you didn't pick Van Aanholt over Zaha just to be different, right? You generally picked him because you thought he had a good chance of scoring more points. And I think that's the difference between picking a differential for differential's sake. If you honestly think the player is going to score more, right? So just for example, like, I'm not doing it this weekend in Sky, but I'm picking Calvert-Lewin as my captain in FPL, where he'll be a massive differential captain in FPL over, Bruno and De Bruyne and Vardy, whatever else. I'm not doing it because I'm doing it to try to be different. I'm doing it because I think that Calvert-Lewin's got a very good chance of scoring more points than all those players. So that's my thoughts on differentials. Don't be scared to go for a differential if you genuinely think that they're going to score more points. I wouldn't go differential sake for differential's sake, I think is my advice there. We go Roscoe 74. Do you think the reintroduction of small crowds in tier 2 area stadiums will have any effect on game outcomes? Should we be now factoring the home game advantage again? I mean, Christ, if there's anything to go by around change in atmosphere and environment, we should expect goal fests again, right? Because it's going to be all the players, especially the home players, are going to be absolutely bouncing, you guess. I know, stadiums will still be, what is it, a 10th full or a 20th full, but I think I saw a stat where this is the highest away win percentage in the Premier League history at the moment, is what we're in now. What do you guys think about any potential change? What do you think, Paul?
Roy Hodgson did an interview on it last night, and he said that he didn't think there'd be any change. I tend to agree. I get what you mean about the bounce, like, of the home team, like, knowing that there's fans there. Yeah. I don't think that's going to change for teams like Burnley. Burnley is a really hard place to go because the sides of the pitch are right beside the front row, and it almost feels like the fans are on top of you on that pitch, and hence why they've done so well. Part of the reason why they've done so well at home in the last 2 or 3 seasons. I don't think I'll have too much of it. It's definitely not going to play into. I'm not going to not pick Salah away to Fulham.
because a few Fulham fans in the corner.
Because a few Fulham fans are back in. Yeah, I'm not factoring it too much into my consideration.
What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, no, I don't think it'll change much. I think it's about 2,000 fans in, so it's not going to make that much of a difference. So I think I'll just keep captaining the away players, and that'll be me.
Okay. Final couple of questions then. At FPL_, Mikey, you best replacements for Zaha. So I think we mentioned Zuma earlier. Anyone else for that kind of Zaha kind of price point there? What are your immediate thoughts, gents?
Diaz might be a good shot.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Diaz might be a good
He's all right, isn't he? I've
He
heard
might
of him.
be.
Actually. Yeah.
He's very good, very good.
I think you haven't got Diaz. I can see him scoring like 60 points in the next 6 or 7 games. But
This is what I mean. It's difficult because if you've not got Grealish, get Grealish. If you've not got Diaz, get Diaz. Like Zuma, you will have that Chelsea captaincy requirement coming up.
Yeah.
You could downgrade yourself to Romeo for the Southampton Brighton game if you don't have coverage in that game.
Antonio, maybe, I don't know if Antonio will be back on Monday. He could be a shout. Get back on him early.
There's restructure opportunities as well. Like if you look at Monday night's games, you've got Fofana for Leicester at home to Fulham, 6.1, I think. You've got Kufal, West Ham at home to Villa. You've got Konza for Villa. I think they're all 6.1. I could be wrong with Fofana. The other two are 6.1. So if you're looking for a restructure, your current formation allows it so that you're freeing up the money to do someone to upgrade to Vardy or to Salah or Kane if you don't own them, or even Bruno or KDB, then that offers those opportunities. It really depends on your team, I think, who you've got and what you want your team to look like moving forward, structure-wise.
One thing I like to do is I like to look ahead, right? So I've just got the fixture up now in front of me from game week 12, right? So just the next week or so, I think, we've all reasonably got captaincies in place. Obviously the Brighton one kind of maybe not, but I've just got the next 8 fixtures from game week 12 to game week 19, and this is the period, right, where you're going to want to kind of optimize any kind of transfers made in the next week or two. Leeds' run is absolutely sensational over that time. So Bamford, just an example, non-captaincy now, right? Listen to this: they're home to West Ham, they're home to Newcastle, they're away to Man United, they're home to Burnley, they're away to West Brom, then they're away to Spurs, then they're home to Southampton and home to Brighton. So 5 of the next 8 are absolute plum home fixtures, and even the away ones are not that bad. Arsenal's are pretty decent as well, right? So home to Burnley, home to Southampton, and then they've got Everton, Brighton, West Brom, Palace, Newcastle. So Gabriel, if you haven't got him at that point, I wouldn't just look immediately at the next kind of game or two. I think you do have to look longer term and not just because it means after a game or two you're going to want to get rid again then, right, is my kind of thought there. Yeah, any final questions there, Paul? We've got a couple of minutes left.
We covered Southampton, Brighton quite a bit. I think that's kind of it from me. Like we've kind of answered all the specific questions through other questions before already. How do you two feel about the structures of your teams? Is that something that you're looking to change, or are you happy that you've got the kind of formation set out that you wanted to?
I think
I was going to say, does taking Bruno out offer you the chat, like on that 3-for-1, offer you the chance to restructure that way as well? I guess an opportunity.
I think so. For me, I think I'm really happy with the structure of my team. Just kind of reading out the fixtures then, right? So I've got Gabriel, I've still got Alien and Dallas as well. So I think defensively, and Diaz, right? I think defensively got probably for me arguably the best back four I could probably have there for the next stretch of games. I've also got those 4 premium spots, kind of in place of KDB, Bruno, Kane and Vardy at the moment, but I can get him back up to Salah. And then I've got Grealish in midfield, and I've got Van Aanholt at the moment. I can kind of move around to wherever we need it at the captaincy. So personally, for me, I'm really happy. I'm gutted I missed out on DCL because it would have bumped me up from just outside the top 1,000 probably to 500th or 600th, and that would have been really good. But it kind of is what it is. But I'm happy. I think we're expecting a bit more from Martinez perhaps at the moment, but other than that, all good. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, I'm happy enough too. I might have to do a wee bit. What's on to you about the Man U 3-for-1? Yeah. So I can bring in. The only issue that there is me doing Bruno to Liverpool player, then it's more likely going to be a striker, which means that I need to have a spot spare, so I can only have 2 strikers at that time to bring Salah. So that'd be 3 strikers up top. So I can either go for it and do a bit of rejigging. My actual plan was Vardy to play this Sunday. Take Vardy out for Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker would play them 2 games. He's a good chance of playing both games. He get passing bonus at least. High chance of getting clean sheet and assist. And then that would allow me to do the Fernandez to Salah. So Salah was still there. And then I would do Kyle Walker to Fernandez after that to bring him back in then. So yeah, it worked out right on budget.
Nice.
So that's my plan. So yeah, so Benham's way out is it worth doing it for that? Is it worth making them 3 transfers just to do that Bruno to Salah? But I think it will be. So there'll be a bit of restructuring done. Ben White too. I might give it rid of Ben White. Brighton aren't the best defensively. I know he gets all passing bonus or tackle bonus, but I think long term maybe someone like Kufal, Kilman, maybe going to Kilman might save me a bit of budget, or else maybe going White to Alien, because Alien's good because Alien gets them passing bonus. It's kind of like the last day he played Crystal Palace. You know, they conceded 4 goals and he still got 5 points. Like it's really, really good. So, so I think I have a bit of tweaking to my team. That should be me.
Fergie,
I told you all my plans now.
Fergie, I had to laugh. I am looking at one of the earlier comments today. Ron read 9. Last time I joined this, I ended up with Wilson somehow.
Never again. I've put my phone over to the side. I'm never making a late transfer like that again. Okay, I've got 2 more final questions for you, Jen. So one is in the chat, but I've got one for you. So with Luca Dean out, what are your initial thoughts on Nkunku at 4.8 million? Do you think he's a viable option until the overhaul? Paul, what do you think?
If you've seen Ancelotti's comments today, there was suggestion that they're perhaps going to go 3 at the back and that Iwobi can play fullback. So even if he hadn't come out and said that, I personally wouldn't do that. But I know that people that made the Kilman move have benefited from that. Yeah. It's just not. I don't like tying myself to that value. I'd have to talk myself into not, even if they lost their place, not moving them out and playing with 10 men going forward. It's just not something I want to do.
Fine. Liam, what about you?
No, not for me. I think I looked at Digne's stats. Like Digne wasn't doing much, so he got all the assists. But if you think he's 4.8, there's a chance he might not play. So if you're a 4.8 player and your team and he doesn't start 2 games, well, it's going to be a hassle taking him out. It's going to be at least 2 transfers. You think too, Everton defensively, they've conceded 2 goals in the past 6 games. So at the most, he's not going to get you many points. So yeah, I would avoid, because I think he'd cause you more problems than he would solve. And
final question from Tom Hartle in the chat: who are you all captaining this weekend, if you're willing to share? As you know, Tom, we share every Sunday what our plans are. So I will just jump in first and give mine. So I am PVA tonight, KDB tomorrow, Bruno Sunday, Vardy Monday. I'm going for the best. What I feel they're probably the best captain options each day. There actually. Paul, who are your captains for the weekend?
PVA, De Bruyne, and Bruno.
On Monday?
And Vardy.
Oh, you're bringing in Vardy, aren't you, for Monday? Yeah.
I can do PVA to Vardy. So
cool. Liam, finally.
Yeah. PVA. I still know I might go DCL tomorrow. I might, and then Bruno and Vardy.
Very, very nice. Brunner Red 9 missed out on a mug, didn't we, just mate? He's back as well this evening. I think Wilson apparently may be back. We will give away a mug on Sunday. We will run a competition on Sunday and give away another mug on Sunday. Okay, so that is it from us for this evening. Thank you so much, everyone, as usual, for supporting and interacting with us. We will start doing some more, particularly with the Friday evening deadlines, potentially even some Saturday ones. May just jump on and do some Q&As, especially when there's some sticky sort of situations to sort out. Liam, where can people find you?
Yep, they can find me on Twitter at Dorian Liam.
And Paul?
At Paul McAnulty 1.
and I'm at Fergie222. And if you don't, make sure you follow at DanCox82 as well. So if you like what you watch, could everyone please press like? There's 95 watching, only 35 likes. Come on, please press like, guys. It really does help us. If you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe in the bottom right-hand corner. Our handles are at FFH_HQ on all social media platforms, and our podcast Twitter handle is at FFH_Sky. So please follow if you don't. I still see so many people on Twitter just asking random Sky questions who don't follow at FFH_Sky. So if anyone sees any of those people, just point them our way, guys, because obviously, you know, we... Dan
on the chat said if you don't like it, then you're getting 2 points from your captain tonight.
Here we go. Agreed. Completely agree there. Our website is fantasyfootballhub.co.uk, where you will find everything you need for fantasy football all under one roof, including player comparison tools, the fixture ticker, Opta stats, top players, team reveals, and much, much more. Actually, it's just sprung to my mind. We do so if you're not a Fantasy Football Hub member, we do have a Black Friday deal on for today only, finishes at midnight. There is a link underneath in the chat now on YouTube. So if you look down, it's the second link down. It ends in 49. If you change that to a 69, copy it, paste it, you will get 25% off Hub membership. And I think everyone who is Hub members, as obviously, you know, Liam, Paul, and I are, and most people in the chat, I think, it works out 18 quid a year or whatever. Absolutely ridiculous. Get on it. It is well worth it. Good luck to everyone. The very best of luck to you tonight and for the whole of Game Week 12. We'll be back on Sunday with Dan, and Fixture King Ian Parrin will also be joining us on Sunday, dissecting the weekend's action and plotting the pathway through December. Stay safe all, and see you then. Good night.